Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, we ordered Papa John's. So right now they have a special garlic cheese stuffed pizza. They use their garlic sauce and stuff that along with cheese into the crust and then brush the crust with the garlic sauce, and then of course you can dip it. And so we got that and the chicken poppers, and that was our dinner. And Gary loves that garlic sauce from Papa John's, and so he was really excited to try the pizza. It was okay. It wasn't like, both of us felt like it wasn't something that we would crave, or that we would be like, oh my gosh, that pizza's out, we got to get it. But I mean, it was pretty good. So if you like Papa John's, or if you like their garlic sauce, it'd be worth trying. But that was our dinner this night. For dinner the next night, I made Ina Garten's perfect roast chicken. I've shared this several times before on my channel. I'll link one of the videos down in the description box below. This chicken, I've made it several times throughout the years, and it is exactly what the recipe says. Perfect. It comes out perfect every single time. It's simple, but so delicious. To go along with that, I'm making my broccoli casserole, and I'll have the recipe typed out in the description box below. It's super easy. To this pot, I'm going to add in a can of, today I grabbed the cream of chicken and mushroom. Normally I just do cream and mushroom. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to add that soup, and then you can either use the blocked Velveeta, or today I have these Velveeta pouches on hand. So I'm going to use that and add that to the pot. And then the recipe that I originally, my friend gave it to me years and years ago. It called for, they don't make it anymore, but it came in a tube. It was like a Kraft garlic cheese. And so like I said, they don't make that anymore. So now I just add in some garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And then you are going to cook that on about medium-low heat until either, if you're using the block Velveeta, until the Velveeta completely melts, or with this pouch, I'm just warming it up. If you don't want to use the Velveeta, you can use just some shredded cheddar cheese and a little bit of milk. So once that's warm, I'm going to add in a bag of frozen broccoli florets, give that a stir, and then I am ready to assemble the casserole. I've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees. I've sprayed a 9x9 casserole dish. I'm going to add that cheesy broccoli mixture. And I did have the original recipe, by the way, and it made plenty for us for dinner and leftovers. I'm going to spread that cheesy broccoli mixture out, set that to the side. In this bowl here, I've got a sleeve of crackers. I think I use Townhouse. You can use Ritz, whatever you prefer. I crushed those up. I'm going to add some melted butter. Spread that over the casserole, and then this is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 30 minutes, just until it's bubbly and those crackers start to get golden brown. Everything's already cooked and warmed through, so really you're just kind of further warming it through and browning those crackers. Here is what it looked like when it was done. I do like to let it sit for about 10 minutes before I serve it. I also made some of my easy glazed carrots. I've shared this so many times before. It's really easy. I just take some canned sliced carrots, drain them, add them to a little pot, add just a tiny little pat of butter, little squeeze of honey, maybe a spoonful of brown sugar, a little salt and pepper, and then just simmer them on about medium heat for, I don't know, maybe 15-20 minutes until they get really nicely glazed. And then I had some Sister Schubert rolls in my freezer. I just popped them in the oven according to the package instructions. All right, and here are the plates. This was our Sunday dinner. We've got some of the chicken, the carrots, broccoli, and the rolls. And this was such a good dinner. Everything was delicious. For dinner the next night, so I had it in my head that I wanted to try the Badia orange pepper on salmon, because lemon pepper is really good on salmon, and so I figured orange pepper would be really good. And so I went on Pinterest. I couldn't find an exact recipe for it, but I did find a recipe for like a honey glazed salmon, which I'll link that down below. So I decided to combine the two. So let me show you how I made this. First, I've got my salmon fillets. These are skinless. If you prefer the skin, of course, leave it on. I'm going to rub both sides of the salmon with some olive oil and some of that Badia orange pepper. Now, in this skillet, I've got a little bit of oil and some butter. This is over about medium-high heat. I am going to cook the salmon on both sides. I did it for about 3 minutes per side. We like our salmon a little on the like medium rare side. If you like it all the way well done, you'll want to adjust your cooking time, of course. And it will also depend on how thick your salmon is. So once the salmon is done on both sides, I'm going to remove the salmon, set it on a separate plate, and then we're going to make the glaze in the pan. I added a little pat of butter to the skillet, and I'm going to add in the orange juice. I just used a fresh orange. You could use bottled, I'm sure. And I ended up doubling the glaze recipe, honestly, just because I had that much orange juice on hand, and I wasn't sure how much it would make. I would say if you're serving this over rice or something to double it, but today I didn't need to double it, but it's fine. We ended up using it, so no worries. But you want to let that orange juice reduce by half. If your skillet is hot, it should just take like a minute. We're going to add in some garlic, cook that for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to add in the honey and the soy sauce. I'm going to give that a whisk and then add in some orange pepper. I didn't measure it. I just did it to taste. This orange pepper seasoning, I got it a while ago. Well, not a while ago, but several months back on Amazon. But I've since seen it at Food Lion. I know people have said they've seen it recently at Aldi. So you can check your local grocery store. It's pretty good. They also have a lime pepper that I want to try. So once I've added that, I'm going to simmer that sauce for just a couple minutes until it becomes a nice glaze. I'm going to add the salmon and kind of gently toss it in that glaze, and then that's it. It is ready to serve up. To go along with the salmon, I just did some roasted asparagus. I washed it, cut it in half, and cut the ends off, of course. Tossed it with some olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and cooked it in the oven at 425 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes until it was tender. And here are the plates. So we've got some of that salmon, the roasted asparagus, and for the other side, I did some quick baked sweet potatoes. Well, not really baked them. I cooked them in the microwave. And then added a tiny pat of butter and some cinnamon and a little sprinkle of brown sugar. So good. That salmon with the orange pepper and the honey was yummy. And then, of course, we love baked sweet potatoes. They're so good. For dinner this next night, I made honey lime chicken bowls. This is something I saw on Sammy's channel, Managing the Maze. I'll link it down below, and I have shared this before on my channel. I'll link that video down below. I'm just going to kind of quickly walk you through it tonight. But before I do that real quick, I forgot to mention that orange pepper badilla seasoning, I first saw that on Kat's channel, Southern Farming Kitchen. I'll link her down below as well. So here's what I'm going to use for the marinade for the chicken and the chicken. So for the marinade, I've got some olive oil, honey, brown sugar, salt, minced garlic, ground coriander, cumin, lime, and then cilantro. And if you don't like cilantro, just leave it out. So I'm going to mix up the marinade ingredients, add that and the chicken to a Ziploc bag, and then pop this in the refrigerator and marinate it for a couple hours. For the dressing for the bowls, we're going to do some semi-homemade ranch dressing. We're going to use some milk, mayonnaise, and dry ranch dressing mix. Just use the package instructions on the ranch. And then once I put together that ranch, we're going to add in some salsa verde, some minced garlic, little lime juice, and cilantro. And I just put that in my little Ninja blender and give it a little whiz. And then that's it. I'm going to pop that into the refrigerator and allow it to chill and all the flavors to combine until we're ready for it for dinner. Next, I made some cilantro lime rice, really easy. Just took some white rice, added it in some water and a little salt to my rice cooker, cooked it until it was done, and then allowed it to sit for about 5 minutes before I removed the lid, and then fluffed it with a fork and added in some lime juice and chopped cilantro. Now, for your bowls, really, you can use whatever you like. Here's what I'm going to use. I've got some shredded cheese. I took some canned corn and just drained it. Took some canned black beans, rinsed and drained those. I've got the dressing, some tortilla strips, guacamole, and pico. Of course, you can make your own guac and pico, but I just picked it up from the store this day to make it easy. And then here are the bowls. So you just lay down some of the rice, add your chicken and your toppings in the dressing, and this is delicious. That dressing is so good. And then the chicken with the honey and the lime is just yummy. So I recommend you give this recipe a try. It's delicious. I think it would make a great weeknight meal. Everybody can kind of assemble their bowls how they want and add whatever they like. Dinner the next night was off a meal plan, but I totally did not feel like cooking, and so I was looking in the fridge and pantry to see what I could come up with, and we just decided to do pancakes. So here's what I'm going to use to make it. I had this Great Value extra fluffy pancake mix in my I started to say fridge in the pantry. This was our first time trying it. We really liked this mix. These pancakes were super, super fluffy. So I've got some maple syrup and then the leftover strawberry honey butter. I just shared this in a recent video. It's delicious. I thought it would go great on the pancakes, and it did. So I'll link that video down in the description box below for you. I'm going to make some scrambled eggs. Just use eggs, a little splash of milk, some Tony Chachere's, and then I'm going to put in a slice of American cheese in Gary's eggs. And then I've got some of these chicken breakfast sausages. I got them at Aldi several months back. They were in our freezer, and so I just let them thaw. I decided to do the sausages in the air fryer, so I did 360 degrees for about 7 or 8 minutes until they were cooked all the way through. For the eggs, I just cooked those up in a skillet and a little bit of butter. I removed my eggs. I just didn't want cheesy eggs this night, and then added that slice of American cheese and allowed it to melt. And then I cooked up the pancakes. I didn't show me making this because, one, like I said, I didn't really feel like cooking, and so just cooking was the best I could do. But two, y'all probably know how to make pancakes, but I've shared how I make them before on my channel, just different recipes, so I can try to find a video and link it down below for you. But that was our dinner this night. We just had the pancakes, that honey butter, some syrup, the sausages, the eggs, and then I did some orange smiles, and it was a quick dinner to put together, but like I said, it was delicious, and we really did like that pancake mix. It was super, super fluffy. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe for Za'atar chicken and rice. I saw this on Instagram. I will link the video down in the description box below for you. We're going to start out by making the marinade for the chicken. And a quick note, I halved the recipe, and then I didn't end up using her recipe for the rice, but I did use her recipe for the chicken. Here are the ingredients for the marinade. We've got some olive oil, plain Greek yogurt, salt, allspice, lemon juice, pepper, salt, minced garlic, za'atar, which is just like a Middle Eastern spice blend. I find it at my regular grocery store. Then we've got some fresh cilantro and parsley. So I mixed up the marinade ingredients in a bowl, took some chicken thighs, these were boneless and skinless, cut them into kind of large cubes, added the chicken and the marinade to a Ziploc bag, and the recipe suggested marinating it overnight, which I intended to do, but honestly I just forgot, so I only ended up marinating it for like 3 or 4 hours, but it was still delicious. So once it's marinated, I'm going to remove it from the marinade. I added it to some wooden skewers. I did soak these skewers, and then she suggested cooking it in the air fryer, and so I just followed her instructions and allowed the chicken to rest for a few minutes before I served it. Now, if you wanted to, you could totally grill those chicken skewers. So like I said, I didn't use her recipe for the rice because I'd seen a recipe on Pinterest for turmeric rice in the rice cooker, and I've been wanting to try it. So I'll have that recipe linked down below. Here are the ingredients we're going to use for it. I've got some butter, turmeric, and I think the recipe called for fresh onion. I didn't feel like fooling around with that this day, so I just used onion powder. And then we've got salt, minced garlic, a bay leaf, and basmati rice. So I rinsed the basmati rice in a fine mesh strainer under cool water really, really well until the water ran clear. Added it to the rice cooker, added the rest of the ingredients, covered it with a lid, and then turned the rice cooker on. Once it was done, I let it sit for about 5 minutes before taking the lid off, and then I took the lid off and just fluffed it up with a fork. To go along with the chicken and rice, I tried another new recipe for honey roasted carrots with feta. I'll, of course, have that recipe linked down below. The oven is preheating to 425 degrees. In this small bowl, we're going to add in the olive oil as well as the honey and water. Next, I'm going to add in some minced garlic and then a little pinch of salt. I'm going to whisk that until it's well combined and then add in my carrots. Now, the recipe said to mix this and then add your carrots to a foil-lined sheet pan and give it a toss, but the recipe also suggested for your carrots to be cut larger. I decided to cut them smaller so they cooked faster, so I just tossed the carrots and the sauce together in the same bowl. Doesn't really matter. It all comes out same in the end. But you do want to use a foil lined pan. I do suggest that because as you can see here, that honey can get really caramelized and burnt, and it is a pain to clean off. So you're going to pop these into the preheated oven and bake them for about 20 to 30 minutes. It just depends on how big you cut your carrots. You want to cook them until they are tender. Once they're there, we're going to toss them with some chopped fresh dill, which I never have fresh dill on hand. I only had it on hand because I'd made those refrigerator pickles. Again, that video will be linked down below. So I was just trying to use the dill up. And then we're going to toss that with some crumbled feta. And here are the plates. So I laid down some of the turmeric rice, added the chicken skewers and some of the fresh chopped parsley just as a garnish. We've got the carrots, and then I had in my fridge some boar's head tzatziki sauce that we needed to use up, so I served that with this, along with, we had a couple of Joseph's pita breads. I just warmed those up, cut those into triangles, and we also had a little bit of this roasted red pepper and feta dip that I'd bought from Thrive Market, so just trying to use stuff up. And this dinner, y'all, it was so good. To be honest, I was nervous about the chicken and I was nervous about the carrots. The chicken, because it called for allspice and quite a bit of allspice, so I was kind of worried about that, but we loved it. The chicken was delicious. It was so good. Gary especially loved it. He kept raving about it. And then those carrots, I was a little concerned with the fresh dill. For whatever reason, a lot of times fresh dill to me tastes, I don't know, like almost florally. And so I don't necessarily use it all the time when it calls for fresh dill in recipes, but like I said, I had it today and I was just trying to use it up. But I was also kind of concerned about the honey, the carrots, the dill, and the feta. But I am so glad I just went with this recipe. We loved those carrots. They were delicious, so good. So this was such a yummy, yummy dinner. For the last dinner in this week's video, I made chicken Caesar Club sandwiches. Now, I didn't follow a recipe for this. I just kind of put stuff together based on some things I've seen on Instagram and then an Ina Garten recipe, which I'll link her recipe down below. But remember, I didn't follow it exactly. I just kind of took inspiration from several different things that I've seen. So here's what I came up with. I had just a little bit of this Newman's Own honey balsamic vinaigrette dressing, and it looks like there's more in this bottle than what there is. There really wasn't that much, so I decided to also add some of this Ken's Italian dressing. Just combine the two along with some thinly sliced chicken breasts, put it in a Ziploc bag, and marinated it overnight. Now, to cook this up, you could grill the chicken, cook it in the air fryer, bake it in the oven. I just decided to do it on top of this stove, and I did season the chicken breast with just a little bit of salt and pepper. You just want to cook it for maybe about 5 minutes on each side. Just depends on how thick your chicken breasts are. Just make sure you cook it until they're at least 165 degrees internal temperature, and then I like to add the chicken to a plate, cover it with foil, and let it rest for a few minutes. For the sandwiches, I intended to serve these on ciabatta rolls, but the ciabatta rolls Kroger had, y'all, they were hard as a rock. I'm not even kidding. They were so hard. So Gary ran up the street to the store and grabbed some hamburger buns for us to use this night. I'm just going to toast those up in the air fryer. We've got some Caesar dressing. This would be a great way to use up leftover Caesar dressing if you make it like homemade. Or I'm just using bottled tonight. We tried this Ken's roasted garlic. It was really good. And then we're going to use some sliced tomato. For lettuce, tonight I've got some of this mini iceberg lettuce on hand I'm going to use up. But I saw recipes using spinach, romaine, arugula. So just use what you like or what you've got on hand. I've got some shredded Parmesan cheese. This is just leftover, freshly shredded. I'm trying to use it up. And then I've got some bacon that I cooked up earlier in the week as part of meal prep. For the side tonight, kept it super simple. I'd found these craft beer battered fries on BOGO at Publix a couple months ago. Been wanting to try it, so I cooked those in the air fryer and then seasoned them to taste with some of the Steak and Shake seasoning. So here are the plates for the sandwiches. I took the toasted buns, added some of the Caesar dressing, some of the shredded Parmesan cheese, and then on the bottom bun, I added lettuce, the sliced tomato with a little salt. I added the cooked chicken, the bacon, and then on the top bun it had some more Caesar dressing with a little shredded cheddar cheese, not cheddar cheese, Parmesan cheese, and then we've got the fries and some ketchup for dipping the fries in. And these sandwiches were really good. If you like Caesar salad, Caesar dressing, I recommend you give these a try. These were pretty tasty. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. Hope it gave you some dinner ideas. If it did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.